All right, I'm on. Sometimes I have some technical difficulties. So, guys, we are talking all about fire damaged properties. And if you don't know anything about it, actually, we're going to take this live and explain it to you. And I'm going to break it down to the bare essentials. Because to be honest with you, I avoided these things for a long time. You hear the word fire, you just assume the whole property is burnt down. So we're going to break it down. Um, I'm going to take about 20 minutes and go over it. I'm going to try to go as fast as I can, condense it. So if anybody wants to hop on the one-on-one, I want to make sure you get on there. So I still have room right now. If you want to hop on there, I do first come, first serve. And then as you guys know, use the comment section. So I know you guys love to chat and do everything. It's a great place to intermingle with people. Make sure you vet somebody if you're going to do business with them. I know most of the people, I just don't know everybody personally, and I want to make sure everyone's safe and protected. So those of you who don't know me, my name is Rick Ginn. I am the Rick and Flip with Rick. I've been wholesaling for 20 years plus, and I'm a bit obsessed with this business. I'm not like your other gurus and stuff that come in, have a little bit of excessive wholesaling, sell a course, and then that's all I do the rest of my life. I have always been all in wholesaling, and I love it. And I make most of my money, 90% of my money, through my wholesaling operations. Then I have another company where I buy and hold commercial properties and build a portfolio. And I plan on keeping it a lifetime and keeping it within the family. So that's what I do. I don't do coaching because, number one, I don't trade my time for money. And number two, most coaching programs will not help you because they have a high failure rate. Not all of them, but for the most part, because a lot of people are out there coaching, they don't know what they're doing. They think a year or two of success they can teach other people. And I'm here to tell you, no, you just can't do it. I believe everybody should have 10 years because as soon as you think you're a superstar, this business will wake you up. So use the comments if you have a question, jump on the live, take full advantage of it. And if you guys have never heard of us before and you want to get started and you're tired of going through the matrix of wholesalers, go over to freewholesaling.com. It's scrolling across the bottom. Me and my son teach a 100% free wholesaling class, no holds bar. I don't hold anything back because I have nothing to sell you. What I want to do is actually teach you how to contact motivated sellers, get them under contract. And then if you decide that you want to work with me and Zach and you want to partner up 50-50, that's where we do it. We have had an incredible run of properties we've bought within this last month. I'm going to be sharing numbers with you soon. It's absolutely amazing. And in my own business in this last week, we've done 7 properties just in our internal market. We run a very small staff. I don't believe in the giant staff because most people who run a giant staff, they eventually burn out. But remember, I got in this for freedom. Do what's best for you. Don't let anybody tell you how you need to run your business. If you want freedom of time, you want to make a lot of money and do what you want, that's what I'm here to teach you. I want to inspire you. I want to excite you. My goal is to get people super excited about wholesaling, but tell you the truth. It's work, and you actually have to take the actions and get it done. So let's jump into that. Before we get it started, we got to pick up the energy level here. Let's go. If you guys don't know me, I have a bit of an ADHD. I like things move fast. I like to be entertained. I like to have fun. I think for the most part, wholesaling is probably the most boring topic taught, period. I'm sorry, guys. It's just everybody goes in these philosophies and stuff. Dude, have fun, because if you're going to do this and you can't have fun, I don't want to work with you. I don't want to do it. Every wholesaling video outside my channel, I fall asleep. And then the second thing is, like, the fakeness just has to stop. Stop showing me your Lambos, your watches. I don't care. Show me freedom. Show me a person takes care of their family. That's the person I want to follow. And guys, stop believing everything everybody tells you. Start finding out if they actually live the lifestyle they do. And so let's jump into it. Let's get pumped up. Let's go.
Get the fuck out of bed, bitch. Go. Get up and get the guy go. Time to wake up, bitch. Get up.
That's it, guys. So you see my background in the back. What's up, Ralph? I appreciate it. You're never required to give money. YouTube puts this thing in there, and I just leave it out there. And honestly, any money that's donated like that, it just goes to the cost of running this channel. A lot of people think this is free. It actually costs money to run this stuff. But I appreciate you, Ralph. And if you ever have a question, just hop on, man. We'll help you out. So I appreciate it. So let's jump on the fire damage so I can help everybody out. If you want to get on the mastermind, do it now. If you get it in probably the next 5 minutes, I'll pretty much guarantee you get talked to. So let's jump in and let's take like 20 minutes and do fire damage property. So guys, hold on. Let me take off the scrolling because that's distracting. So what is fire damage properties? Is literally exactly what it says. It's a property. Here's the real secret with fire damage property. You guys have this visual picture of a house burnt down in your head. That was my theory what a fire damage property. A fire damage property is when the fire department is called to assist in putting out a fire. That's it. That's the qualifier. Sometimes they're tiny little fires. Sometimes they're monstrous fires. And once you understand that, you'll get a better vision of it. Now, I'm here to tell you, let me kind of walk. Now, I'm not a fireman, and God, if there's a fireman on this live, please tune in because I'll put you front and center. I love firemen. A lot of my friends are firefighters. Some of the best wholesalers I know across the country are firefighters because they can do that job and do wholesaling. So a little tip for you. But nevertheless, a fire damage property is where do most fires start? So I've been on this earth long enough. I can tell you where I've started most of my fires. I've almost burnt my kitchen down twice. Now, to be honest with you, she's not in the studio. My wife has she's started quite a few fires, so I love her to death. But she was a very poor cook when we first got together. So I hope she's not watching this. It's the truth, though. You start a grease fire in a pan. You throw water, you panic, it goes everywhere, and then your reaction is to call 911. Honestly, that's about 75% of the calls. And when you get there, they put out the fire. Half the kitchen's a little bit ruined, it's burnt. The other one are toaster ovens, huge one. People stick stuff in there all the time, and microwaves. People love to put their, I don't know. We've just gotten so dumb in America. We stick anything in there, aluminum foil, and wonder why stuff catches on fire. So starts in the kitchen. I've bought a lot of fire damage properties where I've either had to replace the kitchen or I've done a mild rehab on it, like really simple stuff. Guys, that's a fire damage properties. You guys keep thinking about these properties that burnt down. Do they get worse? Yes, they do. But for the most part, a lot of fire damage properties, when you pull up to them, you're kind of in shock because they look like perfect houses on the inside. So what we have to distinguish is between small little fires, medium damage, and massive ones. And that's how I'm going to kind of walk you through this process so you can understand. Now, as a beginner, you can do any of the properties. The first one is by far the easiest. The last one takes a little bit of experience. I'm going to walk you through on how to do that. So first thing we have to do, remember guys, I'm trying to get through this so I can get to the lives as fast as possible. The first thing we have to do is you got to pull the list. And you guys know how these government lists work. Now, this one is not at your county courthouse. You simply go to your fire department. And one of the best things you do is go in person. Now, if you're going to go in person, I'm telling you this right now. Do not run a firefighter over or I'm going to have a beef with you. Listen, these people do jobs that most of us don't want to do. And number two, most of us couldn't do if we wanted to do. Now, I would be a reckless firefighter. I know that, but that's why I don't do it. So I love these people to death because they are much, much needed resources. So don't do your typical aggressive, I need this list, or I'm going to run you over. Be really nice. They are people in your community. They're people I do a lot of fishing with. And there's some of the best people to help your rehabs houses. I get referrals from them. I love firefighters. So you have to go in with the biggest, kindest heart when you ask for this list. And then just ask nicely. If fire goes, I don't know how to get it, you'll have to talk to my chief battalion. That's what I did. And then he sat down, why do you need this list and stuff like that? And I just sat down and I tell the truth. I'm looking to help the homeowners whose house is caught on fire in the event they want to sell it to give them a very, to give them a very fair offer. How can I get access to this list? Now, the list is public. The challenge is these privacy policies. So What do I tell you guys? I'm going to use the same rules as I do any other government list. To overcome resistance, you got to beat it with persistence. And with firefighters, you have to add the extra super nice part on it because you can't run people over. And they're really cool in my area. I have 4 different fire departments I get these lists from. 4. And this is where if you bring in some donuts or you bring in some takeout food or something like that, you will get like super receptive people. Now, sometimes they're going to tell you got to go up to the city level to get that information. Guys, you know how this works. Just please, with the firefighters, do not try to run them over. It's a brutal job what they do, and I don't want you guys to be super aggressive with them. So some of you are going to get the list. Some of you aren't going to get the list. Welcome to my world. That's how wholesaling works. If I try to access 5 lists and I get 2 or 3 of them, I'm happy. And then I try to find ways to get those last 2 lists over time. So pulling the fire damage property, it's very simple, guys. Just the fire department. Now, you'll do better in person than you do on the phone. But if you're virtual, you're kind of stuck and you're going to have to nicely use your rapport skills to build into it. So the next one is, how do I market to fire damage properties? So we're assuming you have the list. So now the next thing is, how do I market to them? And I'm just going to be really quick with this because it doesn't change in any other style of wholesaling. Number one, cold calling is by far going to be your best. And the really cool part is these lists aren't thousands of people. They're small. Dude, they're brutally small. It's like, it's a very, very short list. Just get on your phone, get on truepeoplesearch.com, find their phone number and call them. You don't need a mojo dialer. You don't need any of that fancy stuff. Just call people. And it's really not hard, guys. And they go, well, you know, their house burnt down. You don't know what the damage is because when you get these reports, I've only had one county where they actually tell me what the estimated damage was, and that's from the fire department. And most of them don't. So you'd be calling a house that's just no longer there. Or you'd be calling a house that had a little bit of a kitchen fire. Don't judge. Remember, where there's smoke, there's fire. It couldn't be any more true than in fire damaged property. So cold calling is number one. It's a simple skip trace. I wouldn't even spend any money. It's very simple. Now, you can do an SMS campaign. They're not my favorite way to do it because it's very informal, but it still does work. And it's such a small list. Here's the beauty is you can do the text campaign from like your own phone, or if you have like a dedicated phone to your business. I would try to avoid those mass text services when you do fire damage because it's probably not going to get through. And then you could customize each message, and I would rotate every other message so it doesn't look like you're spamming. It's really simple. The third one is reverse driving for dollars. And you might think I'm crazy saying that. Remember in the beginning, I told you a lot of the fires are small and contained within inside the house and you can't tell from the outside. That is a perfect one for reverse driving for dollars. Stick a sticky on the door and go from there. Now, if the house is burnt down, you can't stick a note on the door because there's no door or the door is completely black. So you'll have to make that judgment call. But honestly, when I do fire damage properties, if I had 15 on there, only 1 or 2 are ever charred to the bone. And that's it. Most people will sit on fire damage properties for years, guys, years. Because why? They're trying to figure out how to sort the insurance claim, how to settle the mortgage, and how to work with all the lawyers that are involved into it. So very simple, guys. Cold calling, SMS, reverse driving for dollars. That's really the only way you can do direct mail. But like, honestly, if nobody's home or the house is burnt down, that's kind of a waste. And it's such a small list. It's just not really effective. So here's the one where most of you are going to like be challenged with it. How do I make an offer on a fire damaged property? And I'm here to tell you there's no perfect way to do it. But the biggest challenge I see most wholesalers, especially newer ones, is you guys struggle with trying to figure out what repairs are. So think of the fire damage part as basically your repairs. It's that simple. Here's the best part of it. Most of you have to guess what the rehab is. The kitchen's 10 grand, flooring's 5 grand, the roof's 15, 20 grand. Here's a little secret on fire damage properties. There's almost always an insurance claim made, and the homeowner has an insurance representative come out and they do a very, very thorough estimate. And I'm here to tell you, it's probably the easiest way to figure out what the damage on the property is. Meaning is you don't have to guess. They're very, very, very precise on these numbers. And So if the homeowner has an insurance report for $52,000, that's what your repairs are needed on the house. Round it up, call it 60, and whatever you do. From there, since you're not guessing on the number, you know what the real value is on it. You just take that by your multiplier to come out to your maximum allowable offer. And by the way, I'm not going to tell you it's 70% because I told you to throw that out the window. If you have a buyer that will pay more than what you put under contract for you, that's your number. On the smaller ones, they're easy, guys. It's just like a regular rehab, although you get a cheat sheet with the estimated damages. Okay. If it's medium, it's a little bit more. And if it's massive, it's an entire, you almost have to basically replace the house. We're going to get into that. I'm here to tell you guys, if you're scared of making offers on fire damage, just make sure you get the insurance estimate. Okay. A lot of them, you'll get the fire department estimate, just like a police officer. If you're in a car crash, they're going to estimate the damage of your car. Now, I'm here to tell you, it's really hard to estimate the damage of the car because if you wreck a Bentley as opposed to a Honda Civic, it's like night and day. And most officers aren't qualified. They're just going to throw a number on there and then the insurance takes it from there. So I love the fact that I get a insurance estimate, and the insurance company, like, they want it like close as they can to the penny. So I find it actually pretty accurate, and it actually makes my job a heck of a lot easier. So the reality is a lot of us are guessing on rehab costs, and I'm telling you, in fire damage properties, you don't have to do this much. So now that you know how to make your offer, who's going to buy these dang things? And so I see in the comments, some of you guys are struggling to sell these. Rule number one applies. If you don't get it under contract for the right price, you will struggle to sell it like any other overpriced wholesale deal. It's no different for fire damage. You can't just take like a wild stab at it. So here's how it goes. If I have a small fire, I treat them just like a regular rehab. If it needs 10 grand, it needs a new kitchen, and there's nothing structurally wrong, it didn't get into the trusses, the roof's still intact, and the property's signed off, what they do is they just gut that whole kitchen down to the studs. And you will get some professional assistance, and they're going to make sure that property, all the smoke and everything's been cured from the ceiling all the way down to the floors. Now, you're never going to do it yourself. I don't want you to do that. Those properties, guys, they're really easy, in my opinion. And most homeowners, if they decide to give up on the house, it means they don't trust the house. They're scared of it. And that's where you're solving a problem. And those are really easy. Now, let's move on to the medium ones. So on that first one, every option's in play. Everything. Assignment of contract. You have an insurance estimate. You can really make your cash buyers feel comfortable, and it's no problem. And a lot of regular buyers will still buy these properties because they see the opportunity in the discount. And you can actually wholesale the property. You can break the kitchen down to the studs, do a wholesale, sell the vision to another cash buyer, whatever you want to do. The sky's the limit. You can do anything. You do regular assignments. Now, when you get to the medium damage, say 25 to 75, you're going to have to find a different type of buyer. The average cash buyer cannot deal with those types of properties. It takes a specialty skill set. Now, here's the secret is, it's not your skill set. Your job is just to locate the properties, put a contract together at a discounted price, and then go find a cash buyer. The challenge with these is you need to find people that love to buy burnt properties, like significant. And there's a certain amount of buyers that get excited. I'll be honest with you. It is a smaller buyer pool. It takes longer to sell. But when you put that deal together, your profit level is usually very, very good. Because, guys, once you get to medium to heavy damage, you have to have a significant profit level to make it work. So go in the eyes of the homeowner. I just had a major fire in my house. The insurance is going to give me $100K. So what you can do is sit there. You have to negotiate what the ARV on it. It's got $100,000 of damage. You're going to have to price in a healthy fee to make it work for you. And here's the cool part is you're going to get a lot more time to sell these properties. It takes work. I promise you, most of your cash buyers list are not customized for these extended fire damage properties, and mostly contractors buy them and specialty rehabbers that love to do these. Now, here's the catch. They all want a big discount because they're solving a big problem. So if you don't get a big discount, you are going to struggle selling it. If you think you're just going to take 100 grand off that, you're going to get killed. So the more damage, the more significant of a discount you have to ask for. Why? Because your cash buyer is going to demand it. So when you get one, it's like, so let's go to the extreme one. The house is burnt to the ground. What do I do? Well, it's kind of easy. You just have raw land value. Hopefully the homeowner gets the full value of the house replaced. And now you can just go back and sell it to a spec builder, a private builder, and there's still going to be an estimate to demo the house. And you don't have to calculate that number. It can be anywhere from $10,000 to $50,000. But it's probably a prime piece of property in a already established neighborhood. There is real value there. And you're going to sell that usually to I'm not a big fan of developers at all, especially on like single lots like this. Find someone who wants to build a dream home there and they go, I've been priced out of everything in the market. This sounds like great. Here's the key though. It's going to take them time because the property's got to be certified. It's got to be demoed. And that's a whole different type of buyer. But that type of buyer, they can look past it because they're going to build a brand new house on there. And so you can go back just as if you were selling vacant land or anything like that. They just got to understand what they're getting into. And that's it, guys. I find the middle one the hardest, the one that's got heavy damage in the middle, because a regular cash buyer is scared to death of it and it's not ready for demo. So it takes a very special skill set. I've seen them where the trusses are burnt, the crisp. They have to pull the whole roof off. There's a lot that has to be done on them. And so, guys, if you're not getting big discounts on them, it means you're going to struggle to sell them to your property, your fire damage property cash buyers list, because they're going to demand huge discounts from you. Now, I see a lot of you guys in the comments that go, listen, I'm really struggling, Rick, to sell this. Go back and get a discount. Let the property go, do whatever you got to do. You can't just get a slight discount on a deeply fire damaged property, because although the homeowner gets made whole, which is the really cool part, somebody has to do the work. If you're going to put all this together and take a ton of your time and energy, you have to make a profit on it. Guys, I don't make $3,000 to $5,000 on fire damage properties. It's just not. Now, on the little ones, sure, why not? But the medium, there's no way, guys. I mean, the average profit level should be 30 to 50 grand, because it is a lot of transaction to put together. And you're going to find your skill set. Not only do you have to locate that type of distressed seller, you got to go find a fire damage property buyer for cash that has experience in there. And by the way, if they've never bought a fire damage property and it's got significant, you're literally wasting your time. They'll never go through with it. They'll write so many conditions and inspections. Move on. You do not want that type of buyer. So, guys, I'm going to cut it short today because I want to get and talk to you guys. So let me get this off of here and let's look at some of the questions I've kind of tagged on here. Let's see here. So, guys, I JV on fire damage properties, but I'm going to be honest with you, you got to have the discounts for them, because a lot of you, if a house is 200,000, it's got $100,000 damage, and you write a contract for 100, that's retail stuff. I don't deal with that stuff. Most people that have a majorly damaged property, they just want to move on. I probably, if your house burned down, just probably be better off just starting over. And then if they get an insurance cut, they can make whole. You got to understand, from the time a property burns down like that to the time somebody actually rebuilds it, years can go by. That's why you have to have a profit level for the amount of work you're going to do. And guys, keep in mind, only a small part of your business is going to be dedicated to this. When you get your list, I sometimes only have 6 or 7 properties on there. So it's not taxing. It's just an extra one. And if you could get 1 fire damage property, maybe 2 a year, it would make a tremendous difference. And remember, if you stack the probates like I teach you, phenomenal. Between fire damage and probates, you can make $100K working extreme part-time with a full-time job. I did it. I still do it. And I'm here to tell you, when I started wholesaling, I kept my full-time job because I had major obligations to my family. Zach was a small child. I had a newborn daughter, and I was in over my head. And that's how wholesaling helped me. It took me 2 years to dig out of that hole, but I'm telling you, it changed my life. So I want you guys to understand how this works. Most people are just in over their head and they're just overwhelmed with it. And now, here's a good question. Cornelius asks, does the insurance go to the buyer in this case? Here's the problem with insurance. Insurance has changed so drastically in the last really 3 years, probably 5. When I originally did fire damage properties, we had a technique where we could assign the insurance claim. You really don't have that option anymore. The banks are so tight-lipped. Actually, here's the best part is the check gets made out typically to the seller, and if there's a mortgage on it, to the mortgage company. It's ridiculous, isn't it? Remember, the bank doesn't own the property. They just loaned money onto it. But they write these mortgages so one-sided now that in the event of a major catastrophic event, even in like a hurricane in Florida, Louisiana, whatever it is if there's mass destruction, the check is always made out to 2 parties. And here's the crazy one. The banks tell you how to spend the money. So that's the challenge that's going on. The bank wants to be paid off is basically what they're saying. So I would teach you the technique for the assignment of insurance claim, but it just doesn't work in my markets. So if anybody else has information on, in the old days, we used to buy hurricane-ridden houses. So I've been through a lot of hurricanes in Florida. I bought like 30 houses in a 2-month period, and I took on the insurance assignment claim, and it was a lot of work. But because I offered that service, I bought a lot of houses. That technique, for the most part, the only way you could get that is if the house did not have a mortgage on it and your seller was okay doing that. Then that's perfect. You can negotiate the whole thing and take it. But it's perfectly normal for them to get the insurance check. Let them take their insurance check. You buy the property for what it's worth and move on from there. It actually makes your discount a little bit easier. So really great question. So Uma says, I'd rather stick with regular properties so I get more experience. So what I want you to know is if a fire damage property does come up, because they will come up on your regular government list, like your court-appointed list, don't be scared of it. Go look at it. Go talk to them. I'm telling you guys, they work. And one of the cheat sheets I found out is when you get the insurance estimate, they do the heavy lifting for you. Now you just got to find where you can get someone to pay you more than what you contracted for. That's the only difference. So, but I stayed away from the guys probably 3-4 years before I did one. And when I did it, it was crazy. So do we do JV deals in New York? Go to sellmypaper.com and just, I have to look on it because I have people who help me with this and I'll have to look on that map. So go to sellmypaper.com and it'll be on there. So one more question. I'm jumping to the lives here. Someone says, what do you tell a seller when they ask about a cash offer? They're asking if do they actually get the full amount of cash. Listen, at the end of the day, yes, they do, because the funny thing is all real estate at the end of the day is cash. So if someone even goes gets a mortgage or you make a cash offer, the seller eventually gets the proceeds in their bank account less any debts or liens on the property like a mortgage. That's it. So a lot of times people go, well, what's the difference between a mortgage and someone's cash? The problem is the mortgage is you got to jump through 3 million hoops. A cash is fast, straightforward. There's only one decision maker. So even if you assign it, say you buy the property for 100 and you sign it for 120. If you agree to give your seller $100,000, your cash buyer will give them the 100,000 and you get the 20,000. That's it. So that's how it works. So good question. So, okay, let's get jumping here. Guys, do me a favor. Make sure, if you like this, because I only got 2 thumbs up, smash that like button. It helps other people find this information. I'm trying to pull the wool back over on wholesaling because so many people think you have to pay this massive fee to learn it. I'm telling you, that was 20 years ago. Guys, do you understand coaching in wholesaling? Let me ask you this. Do you think the dollar has devalued more in the last 20 years? Absolutely. So when I tried to do coaching, I paid people back in coaching. The average price was anywhere from 10 to 20 grand. And it was okay information at the time. But here we are 20 years later, and you guys are looking at courses from $97 to like $5,000 to $7,000. How can that be? Everything's doubled in the last year. Why is coaching so diluted? I don't know. You tell me. It's quality of the product, most likely. So make sure you smash that like button, and please make sure you subscribe to this channel. It helps people just like you navigate through the matrix of wholesaling. And guys, also check me out on my Rick Ginn channel and Zach Ginn's channel. So let's jump into the lives. We got plenty of time today, so hop on there, guys, if you want to talk. So I get fired up, dude. There's nothing more satisfying to me than talking about doing a wholesale deal. So, guys, if you're new to this, go to freewholesaling.com. It's 100% free, and that's it. So let's jump into it. Angela, you there?
Yes, hi.
How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I am so excited that you're doing this today. I've been afraid of fire damage properties, but I got an email today asking if I would help this guy. So the guy got the house. It's just north of Phoenix. There's about 10% of the house has the fire damage. He's a contractor. He's able to get it back up to brand new in about 9 weeks, he said. He doesn't have, so I'm really confused on what he's telling me. It's the entire subdivision is owned by a hedge fund. And
Okay.
he had another hedge fund that walked away yesterday, and they're supposed to close today. So now he has this property. He's offering 195. It's got 85,000 of rehab, and it comps it. I came up with a comp of 410. He came up with a comp of 425. He wants to JV with me if I can find him a buyer. It sounds like an amazing deal. I don't understand. He explained to me that because the entire subdivision is owned by one company, like each house shows a lien on it, so that I guess that's how they pay their funds. And that's where I'm completely confused on all of that.
Okay, so let me just back this up. So are we talking about a single family house?
It is a single family house in a subdivision.
Okay. And how did you find this lead?
He emailed me this morning.
And so do you have a relationship with this person, or like, is it someone that you said, hey, if you find a bad property, give me a call? I'm just trying to establish how he contacted you.
So I put a post on Facebook saying, hey, anybody have properties? I have a lot of in buyers, da, 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 da. And he emailed me because he saw that post.
I got
And
it.
he's like, I always ask, even if it's nothing. And I said, well, yeah, we always go for the no. And he's like, oh, I love that. So
So
clearly, he doesn't listen.
let's keep working through this. So he reached out to you. So is he the contractor? I
Yes.
understand. And so
And he has it under contract.
he has it under contract.
Yes.
Did he tell you what he had it under contract for?
180.
180, and your comp is we'll do the conservative 410. And what's the estimated repairs on it?
85.
Okay. I'm just doing some math here. So so what's your experience with wholesaling? Have you done any deals?
One.
And how'd that deal work out for you?
I made 10 grand.
Okay, well, good. That's a good starting, because I only made a couple grand like on my first one. So you did better than I did. So here's where you have to pay attention. I love what you're doing, and you're attracting the right stuff. And I'm not saying it's not a deal, but the problem is when you start JVing with people you really don't know and you have no idea, because I don't know his ability as a contractor, and that makes me a little bit nervous. And that's the challenging part. So this property, this property is owned by a hedge fund, correctly? So he has a contract between a hedge fund and himself, right?
Yes.
And so how many houses are in this subdivision, you think, estimate?
I didn't ask him that. I know that he would most likely answer the phone. If you want me to put it on speakerphone and we can ask all of those.
No,
I
because
don't
I don't want to go too deep down. Like here's my biggest concern. Okay. is when you JV with people, you have no idea what their abilities are, what they're doing, because it's twofold, because he's the contractor and he can run you up on the bill.
Mm.
So like, who's going to pay for the rehab is the real question. He's
He
looking for
said
funding,
he
right?
has a loan that will cover. He already has the loan for the rehab. So my understanding is he's just wanting to find an end buyer,
Mm-hmm.
and he said he would be done with it within 9 weeks.
Yeah. So here's the challenge: is you're not you're not going to get like a really high. So to get to that 410, you got to finish the property. There's no way
Right.
around it. Like that's how you. So he's looking for someone like a buyer where you can get the whole thing funded, and he knows he's set. That's how contractors work. Like, I'm used to it. I've never had a contractor just. I'm not the biggest contractor guy. Some of my best business partners were contractors, and one of them I wound up in court with. So I've been through this exact same scenario.
Mm.
He's in control of everything when you do it low. So the problem is, if you were going to personally fund him and you knew of his work, I'd say, it works. You know what the return is, because contractors never get stuff on time, and they never get it done on budget. It's just stuff comes up. And if you notice in the last few years, things have gotten really pricey for rehab, like almost double, guys. It's really
Right.
expensive. And so then you're going to start walking down that. I can't tell you how many deals I get into where people say this. Guys, I got probably 6 or 8 properties out there right now where I've put my own money out. I did a deal with a contractor right now. He guaranteed me in 100 days we'd be in and out. We're at 220 days with no buyer in sight. It is what it
Mm.
is. Like, I'm not in control. And when I'm not in control, it makes me nervous. And I want you to understand that. I would do some serious investigation on this person, because they could really ruin your day. And the problem
Right.
is, you still need an end buyer, and an end buyer is not going to commit till they see a finished product. So now you need to find an investor. So if you can find an investor to assign that contract and bring them in and make a quick buck, that's the only way I would do this deal. I'm just telling you, you're going to be in over your head. His 9
Gotcha.
weeks is going to be 18 to 25 weeks. And whatever the bill is, you're going to be stuck because it's your partner. So I had a deal where I partnered up with someone. I didn't ask a lot of questions, very similar. And what we budgeted a $50,000 rehab, it was 110.
Wow.
And he wanted me to fund me, and we had to go to court over it. And he was a good friend of mine. And I didn't ask enough questions. I was stupid thinking I could. You can't. And by the way, if you think you can like just walk away from a contractor, you're nuts. If you're not there at 7 a.m. in the morning, you're not checking them at noon time and checking with them midday and before they leave, you will be taken advantage of.
Mm.
So as a beginner, I'm just telling you, you need to go in major caution, because unless you can bring a buyer and take a quick profit and move on, you're probably going to be tied up in this property over a year. And then the
Okay.
fact that you're surrounded by a hedge fund with all that, and they're going to control the comps, that's another conversation type of deal. But I assume they're
Gotcha.
renting all the properties out there.
Yes.
And so that's going to massively affect your end price, because most people don't want to be in those types of neighborhoods. They want to, it's pretty, if you knew 98% of the neighborhood was a rental and you were a first time home buyer, you want to buy the property, you're probably like, I don't, because there's a lot of turnover and people don't keep up the property values as nice. And so these hedge funds, they're all like, all the money's going to Wall Street. These neighborhoods get run down, man. Like, guys, I have rentals, man. I was just at a rental this morning. I'm just like scratching my head. I'm like, oh my God, like I will never leave lawn care. And I had a property manager and it still got out of control, and it just like never stopped. So renters, listen, I rented, I was a lot rougher on a property when I rent them. It's just human nature. So
Right.
honestly, I'm trying to protect you, Angela. I think
Oh,
I think you're going to get in over your head on this. Now, if you had a personal relationship and you knew their work and you vetted them and you've done a successful deal, then I would say find a way to make it work. But guys, it's hard to do these types of deals. And a fire damage property is a step up. And I also find it suspicious that the hedge fund just doesn't want to fix it and keep it in their portfolio, because it's a minor amount of money to them. hundreds of millions of dollars, and
Oh.
they don't want to put like 80 grand in the property just to bring it back up into a neighborhood they control. It makes no sense to me. So
And that is why I ask you guys, because I take your guys' word for gold.
it
So
is. You got a lot. So here's the fundamental thing I want you to understand. Wholesaling, when you start out, most of us are broke when we started. That's what attracts us to it, or we're looking for a change in our life. You don't have to be broke. You can actually have a lot of money and still do very well in wholesaling. But the reality is the idea is to minimize your risk. What you're entering into is a high risk and
yeah,
okay reward. And to me, it just doesn't cut the mustard. So I would walk away and see how much he chases you. Go, listen, if you can find a buyer to go in there, but like the only way this deal works is somebody manages him and somebody makes him sign a contract, and there's penalties if he doesn't hit the deadlines and goals.
gotcha.
And you move forward because time is money. Because if it takes a year to get it done, I guarantee it'll be twice the cost, twice the money, and twice the time. It always is on these deals because how much experience do you have managing contractors?
None.
Dude, I'm terrible at this part. This is why I don't do fix and flip, because my skill set is connecting with motivated sellers and creating a win-win. The minute I have to manage contractors, I get extremely impatient. And like somebody let me know in the comments, it's not just me. I'm just telling you guys, even on your own personal home projects, it's like they never ever come in on budget. Guys,
Right.
I just did just a simple single family home. We budgeted 20 grand. It was 35 when I was done.
Jeez.
So it's like every property is, and so I don't manage them. And like, this is what I get every time I do it. So I got to get to the point where I do a project manager. That's why I avoid fix and flips, because then I got to pay somebody 75 to 90 grand a year just to supervise all the projects. When it's said and done, I like working on deals. I think you're finding the right area. You did the right thing. I would never trust a contractor I don't have a relationship with. And so if you can find a cash buyer that wants to squeeze in and work in this deal, but it's going to be a hard one, man. Like, because fire damage property, it's hard to bring to the finish line. That's why I always tell them the cash buyers that are familiar with buying fire damage property. So go hunt for that buyer and spend your energy on there. Like, do not go down this relationship. I guarantee you will thank me later, because contracts, like, that's a class in itself, and I will never teach it because I hate it.
Right.
Because the deceit, the lie, all that. I know there's good contractors out there, but I'm just saying we have enough crap to deal with the sellers. I just can't put the contractors on top of it. That's why most people fix and flip. They go broke or they quit because they get frustrated with the contractor. So what do? They go get their own crew. I'm going to beat them, and I'm going to get a staff of $200,000 so I don't have to do this anymore. So you're going to pay one way or the other. There's just no way around it.
Right.
And for that reason, and kind of go with your gut if you're suspicious, stuff like that. But guys, everybody makes everything sound so perfect and true in wholesaling, and you got to put up your red flags and go, wait a minute. I've never, ever. So if I had a business partner that was a contractor and like, hey, Rick, you go out and find the property, I fix them. Oh, I would completely go knee deep in the fix and flip business, because he or she would keep an eye on every project, everything going on. I don't have that foresight. It's just not my skill. I could probably do it, but it's going to take away from my wholesaling operation and probably make me a lot less money. So
Right.
I think your intuition's right. Find a cash buyer that wants to take on this project, and then bring him in and make the money off bringing him a cash buyer.
Gotcha.
Okay. You're doing it right. I'm just telling you, I'm in so many relationships with contractors now I don't want to be in. And like, I can't break up because I need my money back out of the projects. I'm talking a lot of money, guys. Like, I have a $330,000 roof project going on now. They're 5 months behind. 5 months. And we have a contract with penalties. Guys, like, whatever. He's just like, so listen, if you guys are contractors out there, I know there's two sides of the story. It takes an incredible amount of trust and supervision. And that's why people hire project managers and stuff like that, and they still have problems. So go find a cash buyer for that. If not, move on. Do not enter into a deal with the contractor as your JV partner unless you have a history with them and you trust them.
Nope. And then my other question on the same thing is, he's saying that it shows like a 500 something thousand lien, but that lien is on every single house in that subdivision. It's just on the paper. To me, I've
Yeah.
never
So
heard of that.
yeah. So Angela, like this is where you find the deal and you give it to the title company, let them sort it out. You're going to waste headspace on that. Don't let
Gotcha.
somebody live in your head rent free. It's not up to you to figure that out. I contract stuff all the time. Title company goes, oh, they owe like 800,000. You have it on a contract for 250. I'm like, okay, move on. Like, I rather take the opportunity if it's there. But guys, a direct connection with the owner of the fire damaged property is usually the best way. You've got so many red flags in this.
Gotcha.
If you're going to do it, make sure you got a lawyer involved or something, because
Nope.
a contractor
No.
could clean your clock because he could tell you whatever the bill is. And you're like, okay, it is. And that's where I
Yeah.
get in trouble all the time. I'm like, fix it. And when you say fix it, like I get a $10,000 bill every time I say it. So you have to sit down and write, and it's a pain in the butt. But that's why fix and flips are an entirely different business, because you usually have to have your crews, a project manager, and that you have unless you got 10 or 15 of them going on, it's hard to make a profit in that business unless you want
Right.
to do the work yourself. And that's a whole different thing. So don't worry about the lien. If you decide to do something with it, give it to the title company and see what they say.
Gotcha. Okay. I appreciate that. Like I
You
said,
got it.
you and your son are amazing, and I take your word for gold.
Okay. I just trust me. I think I just saved you a ton of time and money. And I'm not kidding, guys. You got to be careful with contractors, man. They have a great skill set, but they've learned how to sell jobs, and it's become mainstream, and they yes everybody to death. And then they take on too much work, and then they sub the work out, and then you're left. And if you don't scream, I'm not saying scream at them. That's not a good word. But if you don't stay on point, you go to the end of the line.
Yeah.
So if they have 10 projects working on it, whoever's the loudest, usually okay, let me get this guy out of my hair. Rick's a pain in my butt. I'm usually the opposite. I come back in a month later. I'm like, so I just did a rehab. It was simple, $25,000 rehab. Guy says, ready for this? 3 weeks. I go, there's no way you're getting that done in 3 weeks. Because, well, I'll put my money where my mouth is. 3 months. 3 months.
no.
So it's like, and now it's like, it just, the time cost of money, you have to factor it in. So it's, I think you're right with your gut. Just move on. Find a cash
Awesome.
buyer if you can. If not, keep doing what you're doing, though. I love what you're doing.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay. Awesome. So guys, I want you to understand, when you partner up with a contractor you know nothing about, you better heed the warning, because they know how to hunt for people on social media. So I'm all about social media posts, brings you attention, but like the best thing you can do is always be direct with the seller, because you'll usually it'll be authentic. When you have to go through like a third party, especially someone who's in the business of doing construction, if they made you your partner, they could run the cost up and they could pocket 50,000 and you get nothing. You don't have control over it. Then you got to enter a lot of legal documents. If you're brand new, I prefer you not do that. So what's up, Lisa?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine. How you doing?
Perfect. How are you, Rick?
I'm fantastic, man. What's going on? What can I help you out with?
Okay, well, I've been listening to you guys for about 6 months or so. I haven't got a deal yet. I think I'm just overloaded with information. So I'm really just trying to focus on a couple things at a time. I watched your guys's video from yesterday, just 333. So
It's simple,
my
right?
question is the government list.
Mhm.
I have tried to get the government lists out here in Oregon, and it has been a nightmare.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've seen other times where you've said it won't work in certain areas. So I'm just wondering if I should give up.
So give me your definition of try.
Oh man, I've spent
And
days.
So Lisa, I want everybody to understand this. I'm not picking on Lisa. Actually, she's brave enough to say, I'm having trouble, and that's fine. And so I'm a huge believer in listening to people's vocabulary, because a lot of you guys are new at this, and I can tell by the words. Number one, I can tell your frustration level. And number two, I can kind of pick apart of what you think you're doing and what you actually need to do. So if you're okay, I'm going to break you down through it. And by the way, I've never, ever said, the list's super easy. The only, do you know what the easiest, in the comments, what do you guys think the easiest government list is to pull? And we'll take a consensus here. So Lisa, I'm gonna put you on the spot. If you
Okay.
had to pick, what do you think is the easiest government list of them all to pick? Like the one that go, listen, you can't give me a hard time on this one, guys. There's no way. What do you think it is?
I don't know. Let's say pre-foreclosure.
There you go.
I
You
don't
nailed it. Perfect.
Okay.
You can't. It's such. It has to be so public because of the court system and the bank. They can't hide it from you
Right.
because they want everyone to know because they're trying to force someone to pay the debt. That's why the foreclosure list is so easy. There is no resistance because it's extremely public. And then as you work your way back, you get into this. So you're in the argument of public versus private privacy policy.
Right.
And so although we all agree this is public data that we pay with our tax dollars, you're trying to navigate through the privacy, which is a pain in the butt. I have never come on here and said you're going to have 100% success doing it. I've told you guys, I asked for 5 lists. If I get 3, I'm ecstatic.
Right.
And it is getting more challenging because everyone's trying to say we're trying to protect people. And I'm like, I don't need the government to protect everything. Like, go to Ohio and fix the train mess, okay? Like, stop messing with us with our list. So did you go in person when you did it?
Okay. No, I didn't do that. So
So I'm just, remember, I'm giving you a
since-
teachable moment. How far away from it is it from where you reside?
Well, we live in a rural area, so it's about, it depends. I was trying to get it from a couple different counties. I would say 35, 40 miles, and the other one is 60.
So what I want you to do is take the same counties that you were attacking via the phone. Listen, guys, first of all, email, you're almost about a 95% rejection rate. Phone is probably 60 to 70, and then in person, you know, the numbers get better. Like it's a lot of times it's 50-50 in person. And the pain in the butt thing is they make you do 2 or 3 trips to do it. They do it on purpose, guys.
Okay.
It's completely to discourage you so you won't do it. If you stay hard, like you stay persistent, like you overcome resistance with persistence and you're kind about it. If you use a lot of the skills I teach you on with motivated sellers, building a rapport and have a conversation, it's the same skill set we use with these people. It's just very hard to translate that on an email or a phone call. So I'm telling you, I like your word try. You did try. But if you really want it, I'm telling you, you're going to have to get in a car and you're going to have to take a risk. And I'm not going to guarantee you the outcome. Welcome to wholesaling. It's the truth. If I put that on the front of the course, you guys would never buy a course from me. But good thing I don't sell a course. I'm just here to tell you the truth. And here's the secret. Some counties are easier than others. So if you pick 2 or 3 counties you want to do, if you get 1 out of the 3, I'm happy for you. You made progress. I don't know where this expectation, people like, I had someone the other, I'm going after 5 lists and I only got 2 of them. I'm like, awesome.
Well, I would be happy with that.
I
Yeah.
know. So the one list that's guaranteed foreclosure, like they have to be very public about it. And then as you work your way back, you have to overcome people's objections and deal with people. I would love a world where I'd have to deal with people that were difficult. But I'm telling you, wholesaling is all about solving human problems. And they're not just your motivated sellers. You actually have to deal with these government entities to get your list so you can go chase down these difficult sellers. You didn't see that on the cover of the, make $10,000 while you're sitting in your lounge chair on the beach, right? No one's going to tell you this stuff. It's hard work. It's terrible. It's a pain in the butt. But if you really want it, you'll do it. So you're going to have to get off the phone and you're gonna have to get in the car and you're just gonna have to make a road trip one day and you're gonna have to try it. And here's the deal is, remember, they are government employees. They are regular people just like you and me. They have families they have to support. So don't run them over. It's not their policies. 9 times out of 10, when I get a list, it's because I befriended somebody in the office and they eventually told me how to get around the privacy policy. That is the ticket. If you think it's just, hey, give me your list, walk in, hand it to me, that didn't even work back in 2003 for me. My secret when I first did it, when I got my first code violation list, I literally thought I cracked the code. And that wasn't until 2004 until I got my first list because I didn't know how to do it. I brought a dozen donuts and the lady's like, here. It was literally an exchange. And I learned that trick because I have to do sales call in my old pain in the ass corporate job, and I bribed people with donuts. So like bribes work. Just Don't do anything illegal. Don't do cash. But food is probably the most common form of handing people over. Donuts have gotten brutally expensive because I don't really eat donuts anymore because I love them to death and they were not good for me. But like a dozen donuts is like 10, 12 bucks. When I used to go out and get them, we had corporate accounts. They were like $3.35 for a dozen. I'm like shocked at the price of it. So I'm giving you so when you go, if you have to make a longer trip, you need to bring some more tools with you to try to make it happen. And listen, you're used to getting rejected in wholesaling. Just deal with this. Like I don't know how else to tell you to do it. Like if I could go with you, I could do it. And here's a little secret. I had people shut me down, especially on the probate list, because I was so adamant. And I got to the point where nobody wanted to they go, oh God, here comes Rick. When I got stone cold, I'd send to my wife, because my wife, she's like a firecracker, man. But she kills people with kindness. And my wife would go in there 5 minutes and walk away with stuff I'd sit there for weeks trying to get. So sometimes you swap stuff up, and once you can kind of crack the code, you can figure out how to do it until that employee leaves. And that's the big challenge we have to deal with. So are you okay getting in the car and chasing down that list if you really want it?
Oh, absolutely. I was just wondering, because when they tell you, so what you're saying is it doesn't matter. Every government list like that in every area is public information, right? No matter what they say that
it's
have a
public,
different system.
They're tired of the argument. Like you go, here's what most people go. It's public information. You owe it to me. Yeah, but our privacy policy says. I'm like, okay, how did the government come up with a privacy policy for information we've paid with taxpayers' dollars? This is ludicrous. And that's the challenge. So what you need to do is learn how to deal with people's objections. So you have to play with people. So do you know if you can overcome someone's objections at least twice, they'll usually fold or try to help you out. So the biggest thing I do is, yeah. So I look for family photos, pictures of dogs, typical stuff that someone's going to have at their work thing, and just go, oh my God, is that a German Shepherd? Oh, love those dogs. So smart. That's why they make them police dogs. How many you got? Right. And then she goes in like 10 minutes and just gorges, go deep in it. And I just turn around and you find that pivotal moment and you go, can you help me out here? Or they'll go, listen, I'm going to help you out. You seem like you love German Shepherds, so you're the type of person I want to help you out. That's it, guys. If I go in and go, hey, give me the list or else I'm going to file a FOIA act, you're never going to get the list. And right. You just keep moving till you find it, and it's not a perfect world. And if you shut the door and you've tried your best, then just revisit it in a month or 2 or 3 months down the road. Now, I don't want you to keep going if you're just getting stonewalled. I'm not, listen, I don't believe in wasting time, but you got to try. Okay. Sometimes you switch up. If you're a female doing it and you're not getting anywhere, maybe if you have like a male partner or somebody that can help you out. But guys, get creative, man. Like what we do in wholesaling, it is not like, this is not stuff you're going to ever learn in the school. You got to find a way to really connect with people to get what you want in life. And the best thing you do is just butter people up. It's not the funnest thing. I don't really enjoy it, but like, keep in mind, you're making people feel good and you're trying to create win-win situations. So I always look at it as a challenge. And like, I have not overcome every objection. I have been stone cold plenty of times. I got stone cold yesterday on a deal I'm working on. It is what it is. I regroup the ponies and I come back at it and you just keep swinging away. But like, if you give up, then it's over.
If they ask you why you need the list, what should I say?
Which list are we talking about?
Well, pre-foreclosures or any of them, code violations.
Listen, pre-foreclosures, you're never going to have enough objection, so don't even worry about that one. Okay? Code violations, I'm doing some research to see what areas of the county are the safest to live in. And this information would be really valuable for me and my family. How can I get access to that information? And just stuff like that. That's what the data is supposed to be used for. Here's the biggest problem. You know why we have such a problem with these lists? It's not just me and Zach telling you guys to do it. Is people third-party vendors are trying to get this information and sell it back to you guys. That's the biggest challenge we're dealing with. So in probates, if anybody ever offers to sell you a probate list, run to the hills. It's all bad data. There's no way they can keep up with it. I've tried. I've spent tens of thousands of dollars. I save no money. I save no time. It's just easier for us to get it internally. I rather pay someone to do it. But whenever I bought data, it was usually 3 to 6 months old, which is a waste of time in probates. You can't get dated information. It's even if you get it for free, it's a waste of money. So that's the biggest problem. Like whenever, like data is valuable, guys. And if someone offers you free data, it means you're going to work for free. You got tricked into the free thing. So, listen, go in person. I just learn. You just got to learn to keep playing with people's resistance. So, me and Zach teach it. We teach a lot of things over at freewholesaling.com, but go jump in. Like if you guys are challenged with this, jump in like from some of the Tony Robbins. That's one of my mentors that I've learned a lot from because he teaches life in general, not just wholesaling. And he teaches you how to play with resistance instead. So if you fight it, you never get anywhere. But if you dance with it, you can get people to do things that you would never thought they would do. It works. You ever gotten a fight with someone, like you ever, like even a spouse or something, like you just, nothing gets through. Once you start yelling, nobody listens because they're only hearing their side. So when you start dancing with people that are playing with you, if you're prepared for it, phenomenal things happen. How do you dance with them? You just volley the question back. I know you can't give me that information, but what if there's a way that you can show me how to get access to this so I can help out some other people? I'm really just asking you, please, please, please. And I just keep going and I don't stop. Most people just tell you no. Most people just walk away. If you're not going to walk away, after a while, they're like, dude, you're not going to leave, are you? My other little trick, so here's the last one. I'm going to help out some other people, is if they tell you to take a seat, and like there's a lobby, make sure you stay in visual contact with the person that sat you down, because if not, they will lose you for hours. I've tried it every which way. So if someone ever makes me wait, especially at like a government office, I'm going to find, if there's no seat, I'm going to stand there and lean against the wall until they acknowledge me. And they will not wait more than 10 minutes because it makes them very uncomfortable. Kind of a tricky way. You understand what I'm saying? If they say, hey, go over here and take a seat here, don't do it. Stay in sight of mine. So I think I lost you, but go get it. You got to go past try. You got it. Peter, what's going on?
How are we doing today?
Good, man. I'm trying to talk to everybody I can. So what's going on? What can I help you out with?
I got a quick question for you. So this is more of like a understanding PropStream type thing.
Okay.
I'm going through a lien list in this particular county, and I noticed how it says refiling last days and tax period times. It's kind of all over the place with some of them. Like the one I'm looking at now, this particular property has $20,000 in liens against it, it looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the dates are in the future, so I'm assuming it still hasn't been paid yet. But I've come across ones that the dates look older, like 2019, 2016.
Mm-hmm.
So does that mean it's just an old lien and it's been paid off for the dates prior to now? Or
So remember, so if you're going to go the lien route, liens are kind of fun because lien's a very general word. A lien just means someone put a lien against the house. Shoot, some of them aren't even valid. Like, yeah, she was talking earlier about like there's a $500,000 lien on a property. God only knows. So I always use the title company to interpret. If you want to get into the weeds on the liens, which I highly advise against it because it's a huge waste of time. So understand PropStream and Batch, they pull data and make it super convenient for you, so you don't have to go and dig in all the county websites. But remember, where does all lien information derive from?
The county.
Yeah. So, and it has to be public. That's the whole idea. So if you want to get into the weeds or you want to test a certain lien out to see if it's valid, go into what they call the official records and you can search the person's last name. You got to be very specific because if it's like a John Smith, it's a nightmare.
Yeah.
And then you can go into the details of the lien, when it was set, and most importantly, if it was satisfied. Okay. And then you can start. So this is how I figured out how to do HOA liens, which are one of my favorites. Like I like HOA liens because HOAs, at least in the state of Florida, they're extremely powerful they actually can beat the bank to a foreclosure. And so when someone doesn't pay their HOA, if it's $500 a month and like 2 years go by, that HOA wants their money because they got to fund their budget. And so they'll force the house in the foreclosure, or you can buy that lien position. Those I have to pay someone to go research so I don't waste my time. I like private liens. I think mechanic liens are a waste of everyone's time. You got to find the type of lien that identifies the most for you. And you got to understand, PropStream just kind of does I know you can pick it, but I'm here to tell you, it's usually the most it is 30 to 45 days behind. But I try to use it to culminate a list so I can go out and find people that have a shot at selling your property. If you're going to try to make every lien perfect and figure it out, if you want to do it for research, go to the official records, which are going to be in your county, and go from there. But like some of them get like really technical. And the really cool thing is like I occasionally get bored. My ADHD kicks in and like I go, explain this lien to me. And then I'll go in and start reading, the 10, 12 pages attached to it. There's some wild stuff in that stuff, man. But for a lien to be satisfied, somebody has to record a satisfaction. Okay. Liens just can't. So when you put a lien on there, it's permanent on the record forever. There has to be, so it's kind of like accounting. There has to be an offsetting transaction, like a debit and a credit. You guys can tell I've been doing accounting today, right? So so if you have a mortgage, you have to have a satisfaction of mortgage if you know it's clear. Worst case scenario, so you don't have to get in the weeds. If you identify 2 or 3 leads, sometimes you just sit down with your title company. If it's local and you go, hey, what's going on? Can you help explain this to me? I look for patterns and I try to identify them. That's the easiest way. And once I identify, so if I bought a property that had this type of lien, I go, man, that worked out really well. Here's another tip on liens. Okay. I love HOAs, but I have a different strategy because I buy the HOAs and then I try to negotiate with the homeowner to sell it to me, or I'm going to force a foreclosure. The other one I love private liens. Like somebody leaves like a $40,000 to $100,000 like private mortgage. Dude, they're golden, man. Like people always want their money back. Yeah. And so if I can like figure it out, those are my favorite types of deal. And you'll have to identify because liens are so broad. Like mechanics liens are a waste of time and they expire after a year. And then you go all the way to like a mortgage. Just decide which ones you want to attack. And then if you find a narrow path, I would do a little research on each one of them through the official records in the county and decide how far you want to go down that rabbit hole. But like, if you record a lien, there's got to be something to offset it that it's paid in full.
Gotcha. Yeah, this particular one says there's a federal tax lien. That's why it caught my eye. I don't know how.
Yeah, I mean, dude, those are big fat liens, man. Those are really hard for people to get around. And so, obviously, the property taxes are always going to be first and foremost. And then when you get like federal liens like that, the thing is they're usually highly motivated because they've evaded some sort of, it's usually sales tax is one of the biggest things in our state. And then people, when it comes to their federal income tax, the federal government has amazing powers to push a button and just lock people down. And I deal with a lot of people like that. It's just like, they will usually give you a really good deal, but they're hard, man, because I don't know about you, but if you called the IRS lately, it is a long wait. It's terrible.
I have no interest in trying to reach
and
that.
So the only thing I do ever with like IRS liens and stuff, I hire a negotiator because I don't want to make 92 phone calls and wait on hold for 10 hours. Is the only goal really is usually to lift that lien off that property so they can sell it and keep it attached to that person. But that on average takes 2 to 3 months. And that's if someone's working the file every day. So pick your liens carefully because some of them are just such a pain in the butt.
Okay. Yeah. I'm just, I was curious because I'm trying not to have information overload like the girl prior to me just said.
No, I got it, man. Remember, I just like, remember the whole idea is to use PropStream is to develop your leads so you can go out and prospect. So it's like if you, I was working with someone the other day. I think we had a list of like 10,000. Someone I was partner up with, and he's like, well, I don't want to mail to this guy because I've already I go, dude, stop. Like you're literally wasting your time. Just put the list out, answer the phones, and then qualify people or disqualify them. And so if you get into that, and we all have a habit of doing it because that's what we want to do. So if you're going to go the lien route, find a pattern, find the niche you want to do, and do your research in a narrow scope. and then decide the action plan you want to take with it. But like researching all liens, you'll go crazy. And by the way, when you whatever, if you cold call them, text them, mail them, whatever, you're going to get people on there that have already paid the lien off. And people, so by the way, all the time I buy properties where people don't record satisfactions of mortgages, satisfaction of liens. It happens all the time.
Mm-hmm. So
don't be surprised. Or sometimes there's never even a lien on the property and they're on this list. No matter what list I get, if it's the vacant, the pre-probate, the zombie properties, the high equity, they're never perfect. I've never, ever had a perfect list. And so if you have a list of say even 2,000 people and 50 of them are erroneous, how much time do you want to spend fixing 50 on your, like it's just, you're going to spend 10, 15 minutes on each one of them. You kind of do the math. I'm like, I'm kind of wasting my time. And that's what I don't want you to do because you don't make any money doing that.
Yeah.
So
I got 2 quick questions to follow up and then I'll be good.
shoot.
What's the minimum amount of leads per list that makes it worth it in your mind? Or does it really matter?
One.
Okay.
Like
I don't know if you're
like so when
500
we talking about fire damage properties, I've had like 0 to 1 property on there on a regular basis. So remember, lists are culmination. So like if you just lived on the pre-foreclosure and the fire damage, you'd probably starve because it's not a lot of leads.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to have the narrow scope list on our government list. I mean, code violations hands down on probates. Like probates is a very small list. And everyone's like, well, I don't know why I didn't get a deal this month. You only need like 2 deals a month, like 2 deals a year to blow your bank account out of the water. And I'm telling you, our average probate per market is 3 to 6 calls a month. That's it. Hundreds of leads like goes out like, and it's kind of a terrible ratio, but when I make them, they are huge and they're the easiest deals I ever do. So the more quantity you have, especially if you have an experience, the better off you're going to be. And then after you get some experience, you'll go, you know what? I spent a ton of time on that list. I've pushed that list for 3 or 4 months. I'm not getting anywhere. That's when you can make a decision if you want to pull back and move over maybe to the lien list. Maybe you go to the arrest records, whatever you want to do. Everybody's on this live. You're going to develop a favorite type of list. But it's like a personal choice. I'm a heavy probate just because I've had so much success with it. And other people like, I don't like the probate. It's just too slow and too small. So find out what like really rings true to you, but like always follow the data. Like your heart can mislead you. Mm-hmm. Like a lot of people like, oh, I'm so stuck on doing pre-foreclosures. Like sometimes they just, like I have a county, I just won't even touch the pre-foreclosures anymore. But 5 years, like pulling data, I go, I'm throwing in the towel. But maybe the market changes. I don't know. So if I get a fire damage, there's 1 property on there, I'm going crazy on it. When I get probates, we get 50 to 60 leads a month. That's it. Like per county, which ones we're doing. And so there's the small list, and then you go for the much bigger giant list. And then what you should be coming up with is go, listen, I have to work at least 5 or 10,000 leads a month. And then I got to work through it. The more leads you work through, the better opportunity is. Because here's the one thing is, you never know which lead is going to be the home run. You never know which lead's going to make you $1,000 or one's going to make you 100,000. And if you try to sort that stuff out in front, you're doing wholesaling wrong. So increase your odds and your opportunity. And then as you guys get better at talking to people and you get data back from your lists, meaning did I get deals or not? Did I get appointments? Then you can adjust and then you'll go, okay, I'm not going to do this anymore because I've tried it for 4 months. It just doesn't work. So most people who try direct mail, they try it 1 shot and they don't understand why they failed. Direct mail is not a 1-month program. It's the worst way you can evaluate it. A minimum 1 quarter if you do direct mail. So same holds true here. So you have to pick it, Peter. Like there's just some stuff that drives me nuts. So I was a single operator for 7 years. I stayed in that position way too long because I just didn't learn how to manage people and how to run people to work for me. So that's a skill set you add in wholesaling. But in the beginning, most of us are single operators. Do what you can tolerate. And like, you got to look at the amount of work and like the amount of return you're going to get on it. And the problem is in the first 6 months, it all seems kind of bad. It's like, oh my God, this is hard. It was just as brutal for me 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. I'm just better at it now because I have a ton of experience. That's it. It's the only difference between you and me. It's like, that's it. But I would do the same thing if I started all over. And then, guys, I do virtual markets. We have to literally start all over when we go to them. It's like I have the same frustrations you guys are all pointing out on this thing. So
Yeah, I'm having troubles with probates in North Carolina right now. They're stingy.
You're just patient. Like I'm like probates to me is like if I can connect with someone and we connect. I don't even talk about price, but like you cannot force a probate. When they start beating you up on price and stuff, I'm like, I'm probably not your buyer. You want us to list it for you, and I hand it to the realtor and I move on. Like
Fair
either you
enough.
want to list it or you just need to get it gone. Like that's the only way probates. I would love to ask the question like that, but you have to get through 20 and 30-minute conversations to even get to that point.
Hmm.
And so many people are like, are you going to sell this or not? So when I was taught wholesaling, I probably one of the worst mentors in history. Our line was, if I close quickly, paid all cash, what's the best price you give me? And then after they give you the price, they're like, can't you do better? I'm just like, I felt so cheesy saying it, but it kind of worked. It doesn't work anymore because it's fake. It's not like real. So be patient with probates. That's my only advice to you. Like they're weird.
My one last question is, when I've seen Zach do a lot of cold calls on his lives and stuff like that, and he just leaves a quick message. How is there a way when they actually do call you back, if they call you back, because I'm sure half of them don't, to make it look like you're not just calling everybody, just be like, hey, what property is this again, or something like that? Because half the time you probably wouldn't be in front of Zillow.
So we
Just
do
that
a
way, so
large.
you're not coming off as like a huge investor or some random person.
So you're talking about when they return your call, like
Yeah.
on an SMS, and they go, I never. So I have to teach a lot of acquisitions people not to get hung up. So we do the ROS postcard. If you guys want to learn, just go over to Mailing Mastery. I teach the whole thing for free.
Mhm.
It's a postcard that puts the offer on it. It works. It like people just love it. Because people are emotionally tied to the value of their house, and I know that. And so I play with it. That's why Zillow's so popular with the Zestimate. So we put a number in there. A lot of people just call back to go, hey, is this offer real? How did you come up with this number? Did you drive my house? Do you look at the house? So you can either decide to wing it or you can try to pull up all the data. You're never going to be able to pull up, like it never works. And all you have to do is try to have a conversation and go, listen, tell you what, I'm just out on the road, but I don't have the paper. I don't have it right next to me. What is the address? And just ask them.
Okay.
The reason I do that is twofold. Number one, I record the calls, so I have the information. I used to be a writing freak, and my son convinced me, if we just record the calls, I'll save you a ton of time, Dad. Then we stepped it up another level, and all my acquisitions is we get a transcript of all the conversations so we can see it. But you're better, like instead of trying to dig it, and I immediately just go in and qualify them. And if they get like, well, you sent me the letter or you called me, Peter, you tell me. Hey, listen, absolutely. I go, I'm just out and about. I was looking at some other properties. Tell me a little bit about what's going on. I just go straight in the qualification. Just get past it, because does it really freaking matter? If they're not motivated, I'm not going to continue with this conversation anyway. So whenever people are calling me, I understand a good portion of them don't want to do business with us, and they're just calling out of curiosity, and that's okay. Here's the secret, guys. When they call you back, at least you have an opportunity. If they don't call you back, you have zero opportunity. So look at every call intake, especially inbound, as an opportunity. If people call to tell me to take a flying, you know what? That's great. Do you have any interest in selling your property? Because they've called you. And so obviously we get their cell number, we get everything else, and then I can do all sorts of reverse campaigns with it. But when people call you and they chew you out, you won. You absolutely won, because you got the whole goal. If you do a text blast, a mailer, whatever it is, a cold call, is to have them reach back out to you, especially if you can't get a hold. So I don't fumble for any of the information. I just go straight into qualifying. I don't have it right in front of me, but I got an idea where your house is. Tell me what's going on with the house. And I just go into MCTP, because I want to find out, am I going to spend time with this person, or do we need to push them to the side? That's it. Because I used to be the person with the Excel spreadsheet, and this is long, like we couldn't pull them up on our phones. So I had this sheet and I carried it around in a folder in the car, and it just got exhausting. It's like, so here's the best part is, we just had one that went out. I think it was $280,000 for the offer. Guy goes, you give me that, you can have it. I'm like, okay. I go, tell me a little bit. So I don't care what the price is. I don't care what the address is. Are you motivated? And I'm going to find out really quickly with these questions. And that's it. And so that house 280, I wound up buying it for $150. And if I got hung up on the price, because that's what he got, I would have never gotten anywhere. I only use the price to have them call me and trigger them. And remember, the whole goal of any type of marketing, if they'll connect with you, you win. So I have salespeople they used to get upset like this, 16 people chewed me out today. I go, awesome. Like, now we have their phone number. We have everything. Maybe they're having a bad day. We'll just regroup and rework it. Remember, if they call you, you win. So stop getting upset when someone calls and chews you out and smile, because it means your message is right. Your target is right. They just don't have the right motivation to sell your property. You're in the right area. Keep moving along.
Okay.
Do you have one more?
Maybe next call. Not right now.
Okay. Well, call me anytime, Pete.
Thank you.
Okay. I'll see you, man. Junior, let's go.
Yo, how you doing today?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm doing great. I just had two questions, I think, because just this month because I really just started getting into this. Just this month, I went out to my local fire department, which is actually like 3 minutes away from my house, and I was gonna go inside, but they had a note on the door that was like, because of COVID policies or whatever, just call. So
Still going on, huh?
yeah, it's it doesn't get any better in Michigan. So yeah. So I just called them and I asked and I get the lady on the phone, and I'm ask her, could I have a list of fire damaged properties over the last 6 months? And she was actually surprised, just like you guys say. She was like, well, no one's ever asked me for that before. And she was gonna do it, but then at last second she was like, well, I just need like a FOIA request. So since the beginning of this month, I've been bouncing back with a few, because she sent me somewhere, and then I got the request from them, but then she said this is the wrong one, so I went to another one, and they sent me something that totally different. They wanted me to pay like thousands of dollars, so I called her again, and she was like, that's actually the wrong one. So again, I just sent the one out to the city of Grand Rapids, and I'm pretty sure this is the right one, but there's like 2 or 3 other fire departments in my area. Should I also go to them?
And just so like you got close, she wanted to give it to you. So like really just make sure you spend the time building the rapport and trying to connect with them, because I'm looking for the straightest path to get that list with the least amount of like crap I got to go through. Now, like FOIA forms, they're a nightmare. And there's 3 million different types. And if you have to do it, but like, just keep killing them with kindness and go, listen, just because, listen, they have to file the paperwork. They have to scan it. They got to ask for permission. So you might have scared her with the 6 months. So sometimes if you start, can you just like, give me like the last week? Like sometimes their information's right there in the computer. Like, oh yeah. But like 6 months can be a lot of data for them. So maybe the 6 month triggered her, because it sounds like she was really close to giving it to you and then she stopped. Here's the problem, guys. You're going to get this type of pushback on most departments. And remember, fire departments, they're not used to people coming up to them. So you have to be very respectful and very careful. You were close. I think you just asked for a little too much on the 6 month. There is no right way. Just say, listen, here's what I just make it as general your first comment. Can I get a list of the most recent visited fire damage properties in the county? Because I just want to know what's going on in the county, and I'd like to do a little bit more research on it. And that's like, it is the truth. You got to do research. You want to find out what's going on with it. The less threatening you are, the better off you are. And just, cookies or donuts goes a long way with these people. Like it goes, listen, cookies, anything sugar is the currency of the United States, like past money. So we never want to exchange monies for these lists. Bad enough they want to charge you $20-$30 for some of these lists, but sugar is a currency that if anyone's stuck in a 9-to-5 job, they will usually cash that check in a heartbeat. So, and then you can get like cheap. Go to Costco, get like the big thing of cookies and just tie up a little package and say, listen, I really appreciate you. Sometimes you got to dangle it and go, hey, listen, give me that list. This is yours. Like, it just make it super, super easy. But I love firefighters. I've gone in there. I've eaten lunch with them. Like, I have friends that are firefighters. It's like an entire community, and they look out for each other. And if they think you're sharky or you're up to something no good, they're probably all gang up against you. But just keep doing it. Like, this is a prime example. Guys, I've personally done this. I should probably shoot a video and walk in there with you. I did an entire probate thing. God knows it was probably illegal, but I filmed the whole thing of like getting it, and the lady beat the crap out of me, but it took me 20 minutes and I eventually got what I wanted. But I've had times where I never got what I walked out of there. So it's good stuff. I just think fire department a little bit, it shouldn't be as confrontational. Sometimes they can do it, sometimes they can't. And they're not going to give you the same resistance a typical government employee is going to give you.
Mhm.
So keep doing what you're doing. It's just, I think you asked for a little much for the 6 months. You probably scared her a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that's a lot of information.
At first, I when I called her, because like she was really friendly, really nice and sweet, and I called her and I asked for. At first, I was just like 3 months, and she was like, "Okay, well, this list is like incredibly small." So then I was like, "Okay, maybe 3 extra months."
Yeah.
That's when it happened. And then I've also gone to my local like water department for like the city, which is again, I since I just got into this, I realized it's actually like 10 minutes away from my house. So I went over there and I had a conversation with the man, but he was like, "Well, over here in Michigan or in the Grand Rapids area, we don't really do water shuttle. Kind of just add it as a lien." So that kind of just fell through. So I sent another FOIA request for tax delinquents, just like in my area. And I think my only other question was because I woke up maybe like 40 minutes before your stream started, and I've just been here waiting. But I was, because I wanted to call, but I guess I psyched myself out. But then I found my notes and I realized I don't have to keep watching all these videos, because I literally have everything you and Zach have said over and over, because I've watched like 10 videos, but I realized it's still right here on my notes. So I guess my question is, how efficient on the script do you think I should be before I start?
Before you start what?
Before I start cold calling.
Now.
Okay.
You're never going to get the perfect opportunity. You just got to do it. Like, guys, listen, I can go back to the days the first time I shot a video for you guys. It sucked. It's terrible. But the information was good. I just wasn't very entertaining. Like, I don't know how else to tell you. So we all suck when we start anything. So just do it and enjoy the suck and move forward. Like, it's not rocket science. I'm telling you, the longer you wait for the perfect opportunity, the worse it's going to just do it. So the whole part in the beginning is just do a lot of quantity. Now, that doesn't mean you don't practice and rehearse like that. It doesn't mean skip that part. So when you have good, solid list, if you are confident and you understand how to talk to people and turn your scripts into conversations, then go for it. Because the way you're going to boost your confidence is by actually doing it. You create more anxiety thinking about it in training. But what I would like for you to do is role play. Worst case scenario, role play with yourself. I don't give a crap. Or find a family member or somebody that'll help you out and just start having them throw you curveballs all the time. And after a while, you'll find it's the same objections over and over. After you get through cold calling, talking to people, after about 2 or 3 months, there's nothing they can tell you that you rarely won't hear. All objections go back to the same roads. It's always the same thing. I need more time. I need a higher price. And once you understand how to attack those objections, it's a game. It's fun. You play with people.
Mm-hmm.
And the ones that are difficult, like, okay, have a nice day. Like, we choose who we work with, but do not make the cardinal sin of waiting for the perfect opportunity, because if I had to go back in time, I would have started wholesaling when I was 14 years old. I didn't. I waited 20 years to figure everything out. Guys, don't let 20 years go by. Just go and do it now. If you want to make a major change in your life, listen, you called me. Like, that's bold enough. You're on the air in front of hundreds and hundreds of people. That's bold enough. You have what it takes. So just practice it and just go, okay, here's where I'm going to go. And that's it. Remember, most of the time you're disqualifying right off the bat, and then you're going to qualify. And if you can get through that in cold calling, the rest is actually really easy. So I used to remember just sitting I see people just to sit there and stare at the phone for hours for cold call. I'm like, dude, just call. It'd be less painful than thinking about it. I don't know about you. I hate going to the dentist. Thinking about the dentist the night before gives me so much more anxiety than the actual sitting in that damn chair. So I'm sorry if there's dentists on here. I've had a lot of pain with dentists. It's just So I have a bit of a fear, but I constantly have to manage it and overcome it. I'm not perfect, guys. Like I'm just like everybody else. Do it. Like pick up I want you to go do it today. Just start ripping through it. And if you, okay, where do I start? Well, screw around with the Zillow Fizbo list. That's a great place if you want to start. If you're going to practice, that's the one to practice on. And practice playing with people and just trying to get what you want out of them and just talk them into it. And that's the art of wholesaling. We are not selling, guys. We are disqualifying, then qualifying, and then doing exactly what we say and creating win-win situations. And that's all you got to do, Junior. Do not complicate it. This thing up here is a ridiculous instrument if you just put in the simplicity and do the actions. But we all overthink everything, including me and including you. So get out of your own head and just do the actions. That's the only difference.
Okay. Yeah. I really
got it. Just go. I tell you what, man, if I had more time, I'd make you cold call right in front of everyone just to get you over it. Like, I think you would do it easily because you're carrying a conversation on me and I don't really know you and you're not even slightly phased. So I wouldn't worry about it.
Okay.
Just do it.
Because I think just 3 days ago, I was shaking. I'm scared. And then I called first person. No one picked up. I called the second person. I'm like, hey, is this the owner of 123 Main Street? And immediately she hung up on me. And like, it kind of just like got my nerves out the way. And I was like, wow. So it's really it's just that simple, huh? And then I ended up having to go pick up my brother from school. Yeah. So I didn't end up calling again for the day, but I really appreciate what you just said. I really do.
It is, guy. I'm just telling you, man, like Zach at not even, I guess a young age, at 16, it's just like, dude, you call anybody you want. He's like, I can. He's like, yeah. I go, I don't cold call. If you can cold call, I'll do deals with you. That kid I couldn't get the phone out of his hair. And he just kept making hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars because I wasn't a cold call. I didn't like doing it. And like, I look back and I go, man, I just learned a valuable lesson from my own family is if you will do the things that other people are unwilling to do, you will make a crap load of money. You guys want to know why Zach's so successful? Because he did what very few people are willing to do. So if you want to be ordinary, go do your 9-to-5 job. I have no problem with that. I'm not ragging on it all, but most of you are here because you're frustrated with your current situation. That's why I'm sitting in front and talk to you. I tried the corporate deal. It didn't work. It sucked. My family gave me bad advice. Everybody gave me bad advice until I started just going, okay, I can do this. And honestly, I hired a lot of mentors, some good, some bad. But honestly, I had to figure out wholesaling on my own. So I went on a 7-year journey. And there's nothing you guys can share with me that hasn't happened to me. And I'm here to tell you, the more uncomfortable and awkward you can feel, it means you're progressing in life. If you are super comfortable and you don't want any change, you're going to be in for a rude awakening in life. Dude, I've been on this planet 53 years. It's a lot of freaking change. So go with it, embrace it, dance with it, or you're going to sit there and fight it the rest of your life. The sooner you pick up that phone and just start calling, maybe you got to pick up like a Wolf of Wall Street. What's he say? He goes, is your rent behind? Pick up the phone, start calling. It's true, man. So many of you guys could dig yourself out of your own issues if you would just take the action. You guys were all programmed like the smartest kids in school make the most money. It's actually the opposite. The smartest kids in school usually take the most complacent jobs that are the easiest because they don't want any confrontation in life. People like me that could barely get through the SAT test alone.
Same.
We have more will and drive than any of these other people, and eventually they all wind up working for us. Do you know how many accountants, lawyers, and all these people I got working for me? Like, they are so much smarter than me. If I took an IQ test, 95% of you probably people would beat me. I don't care. I've learned the wealthiest people in the world have the strongest will and the strongest drive. That's the difference. That's it. It's not about smarts, dude, because Junior, you're probably a lot smarter than I am. I'm just not now common sense. I'm extremely like versatile, but you put me on like an algebra problem, dude, I'm dead. Probably a 7th grader will crush me. They had a show about this. Can you be a 7th grader? Like, I don't want any part of that show. I'm going to get crushed. But here's the problem, guys. I wasted 25 years of my life trusting the school system, and the product that came out, I didn't like. So I decided to make a change at 33. How old are you, Junior?
20.
Child, my friend. And that's a good thing. That's a compliment. It's not a diss. You have so much. You got a 13-year head start on me. Make the most of it because time goes by really fast. And I want what's best for you, but you got to take the action. Only you can save yourself. If you think a guru and accountability partner, if you can't be honest and go, hey, I need to do this, you're done. So take the action and get it done. I believe in you. You can do it.
All right. I really appreciate that, man. You have a
Okay.
great.
See you, man. So guys, listen up. Fire damage properties, it is a great niche. It is not overwhelming. If you come in halfway through the video, go back and watch it again from the beginning. I did a 20-minute episode on how to do it from start to finish. It still holds true. I waited too long to do them. Don't wait like me. Fire damage property is just another opportunity to engage and work with a motivated seller. So guys, make sure as usual, you are subscribed to this channel, and we will be back on Sunday and Monday. Zach will be on his channel. You can check him out on YouTube there. And make sure you check me out on Rick Ginn. And make sure you guys are subscribed to this channel. Give me some love. Give me a likes if you like the comments. Guys, go out there and get deals. Get out of your own head. I believe in you. I know you can do it. Go out there, make your day great, and make that change you need to get what you want in life. I love you all. You guys can get it. I'll see you in the next episode. See